What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. We're back, another week, another stream, and special guest with us, friend of the podcast, David Blake.
The always so ever handsome fella.
Yes, the ever handsome, the golden boy.
Hey, there you go.
There, the golden boy.
We were supposed to have him on a few weeks ago for the Sort of Doom review. He couldn't end up making it. So once we told him we were going to do Akira for our movie, he's like, dude, I need to be there. So thanks for coming.
Such an iconic movie, man. Or
Absolutely.
anime.
Of course, we got top news topics for discussion, and of course our movie review. And this month we are doing the theme for this month is Anime April. And as noted previously, the movie for today or this week is the anime that really introduced anime to the West, and that's 1988's Akira.
Yeah, really, like you said, this is a movie that I think a lot of people got introduced and started their love for anime. And like I said, back then there wasn't a whole lot of clamor for Eastern animation, but this is one where like, what is this? This is awesome. And nowadays, anime is so mainstream. It's really weird. It boggles my mind because I grew up like having to dig and search every inch of every corner of places to find some freaking anime to watch. And now it's like, it's just there's whole streaming apps now for anime. I'm like, it just boggles my mind.
Well, back in the day when we were growing up, man, anime was kind of like the Pandora's box.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, it was like the first time we animate kind of like cartoons. Like this is a cartoon can be this.
Yeah.
And it was and for me anyways, anime like really kind of opened a whole another world of possibilities when it comes to animation. Because I think because particularly in the West, and particularly people of our generation, we're so used to like the Disney stuff and like the Warner Brothers, and even who's that one famous Chuck something?
You're thinking of
Chuck Jones. There you go, Chuck Jones.
Yeah. Like Looney Tunes and
exactly that Droopy and like Hanna-Barbera. We were accustomed to that kind of animation, and then all of a sudden Akira comes onto our shores, and it's just like, holy crap! Like I did not know animation could be like this.
Yeah. And so so this month is all about celebrating some of the great anime films that are out there. And we're gonna start off with Akira because that's the one that a lot of people got introduced to, and I'm super excited to talk about it. It's
a very good movie.
Yeah,
very good.
And I'm sure there's a lot of anime fans that might be like watching this, and they're like, I've never because it's 30 plus years old now. And I'm pretty sure there's a whole new fan base that's into anime that's never seen Akira.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, not to ding like newer anime or whatever, because like again, animation's like really amazing, especially like what Japanese people are able to do with it. I mean, like there's like animes about like cooking and like the rendering of like the food. Or like
so good.
When they when they're deep frying like shrimp, like they get like all like the little bubbles as soon as it hits the oil, and and like it gets the crisp, like you could almost like feel the crispiness of like shrimp, or like the tempura and things like that. It's really quite astonishing.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes I see them cooking food, Man, I want to jump through the screen and get me some.
Yeah. So every time I watch like Naruto, I'm like, you know what? I really want to have some ramen right now.
I really
Oh yeah,
want to
Ichiraku ramen. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: what was y'all's first anime y'all watched?
My first, I think, or at least my first exposure at the time, I think I was too young. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry. Interestingly enough, my very first exposure was Akira.
Oh
Oh, so
wow!
yeah, that was your first exposure to
Yeah,
anime, was
because I benefited. At the time, I didn't really think of it as beneficial because I had older cousins, and they would always like because they were much older than me. Because they were like in their late teens when I was still like like 4 or 5. But they would always they were always kind of plugged in at the time, and they actually happened to get Akira, and I think it was the dub version. I really can't remember, but I do remember you know seeing this, and I was and like really awestruck. I mean, as a child, I think I was like really afraid because fucking Akira is a very like surreal kind of
Very
movie.
graphic.
Yeah,
yeah,
graphic and kind of surreal. And so I think I was like a little. I think I remember being afraid as I was watching this movie, but I didn't
yeah,
want to. I
yeah.
didn't want to. I didn't want to. Be a little chicken shit in front of my older cousin. So I, kind of like, kind of the scary parts. Like I pretended like I had like, something in my eye, but yeah, Akira was my first exposure to anime.
Oh
Uh,
wow!
well, I was saying like mine. I remember the first one I ever watched was anime called Rurouni Kenshin, um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's not a very long anime. I think it was only maybe like 100 or so episodes, which is pretty short for. It was successful, but it was pretty short. But I love the idea of this guy who was he was an assassin, one of the best assassins there were, but we don't understand all the events that led to him turning a new leaf. But he lives this Ronin lifestyle, but he doesn't kill people anymore. And a lot of his past comes to try to like find him again, and he is battling against it. Um, and then later on, we ended up getting a series of short films about his time as when he was an assassin called Samurai X, which
Yep.
is fucking amazing. But yeah, that was really my first introduction to anime, and like I obviously I've watched a bunch since. Uh, but that was my first introduction. I was hooked ever since.
I'm a Vampire Hunter D, man.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that one too.
That was the first one, and then I got to watch Bastard, and then Akira.
Bastard is
Mm.
really really good, and unfortunately, the creator of Bastard just died. Like last year? I think he died. Um, it's sad to hear, and like that was a great comic, great anime, and then I think they condensed the anime into a series of movies as well. Um, I think they said in like a series like a three-part movie.
Yeah, it was like was it one, two, three? It was like 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah,
So
Mm.
you want something good to watch? Watch that one. I promise you that. That's a
yeah.
good one.
Do you think Akira's fucked up? Watch Bastard.
All right. Yeah, so something to look forward to later on in the stream. But yeah, let's get into um, let's just run with the first topic, and that's the kind of the runaway inflation and the very real, very um, what is it the looming food shortages.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I don't know about YouTube, but obviously, going to the store, yeah, a lot of bare shelves. It's been like that for about a year now,
Or
where,
at least a year and a half.
yeah, and a lot of that has to do with just a lot of just dumb policies that our government has imposed, a lot of dumb regulations that don't need to be there. And before, it's like they could maybe make the excuse, oh, we have these new COVID policies, and so they're just changing. It's like, and once that ends, we'll get back to normal. It's like, well, I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. I know that's not the reason. There's something else there. And now, and with all these like looming shortages, now where you have the president, even though he doesn't know where he is, he's making that speech about how it's how, oh, it's gonna hurt, and it's real, and it's, and all whatever gobbledygook he's trying, he's battling with the teleprompter. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna blame it like, oh, it's Putin's fault, it's Russia's bad, and it's all their fault, and Ukraine is good, and like it has nothing, it's all happening because of all that. And it's like, no, it's not. This has been going on for decades, and now it's kind of it's climax to this point where you have dumb, stupid regulations, from this administration. But we've been shipping over jobs overseas. We have stopped producing pretty much anything over here. It's all coming from China or all these other countries. And I'm not saying that, like, to an extent that's a bad thing. Like, but we don't even make our own fucking fertilizer anymore. We import. This is where, like, I didn't even realize it had gotten to this point. We're importing our fertilizer from Russia. What the fuck?
Hey, look here. Y'all need some fertilizer? Y'all come to my house. I got 5 dogs. They crap everywhere. Bring a shovel, bring a rig, come get it, pay $5 a pound. Come on.
We have very few manufacturing jobs in this country. We are importing food from other countries. We barely. And the other thing that like pisses me off too is we have our farming industry. We produce a lot of food, but here's the thing, and the government, under penalty of, like, pretty much like undergun, these farmers are like, oh, you made too much, well, burn it.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
We have to keep the price right here. It's like, why don't we just, how about instead of burning it, why don't we just give it away? Like, we supposedly have this huge like hunger and homeless problem. Why don't we give it to them? Why don't we like just ship that overseas to all these people that are supposedly hungry? Why don't we just fucking give it to them, and we don't have to burn it? It's and then, like, when you don't make enough or you don't store it up for it's I think of the story in the Bible with Joseph in Egypt, where it's like, hey, you're gonna have 7 years of like this awesome production, save it, and then when there's these 7 years of like really bad
save a portion of it, anyways.
Yeah, save a portion of it, and when you have these 7 years of famine, guess what? You have food to that you're not gonna die.
Exactly.
That's what our country does. Nope. And that's been going on since the at least the times of FDR. I don't know if that was happening before that, but it's just like, so what I would hate to see is that the American people are like, this is going to be the catalyst. Like, oh, we'll fuck Russia. We need to go over there. We need to send our troops. We need to stop this. Like, no, what you need to do is tell your fuck this government, fuck this administration. It's their fault. Let's bring more jobs back here. Let's stop getting all this shit from overseas. Let's stop relying on all these people that would like to see us dead or don't care about us, and we don't get anything out of it. And let's start producing our own shit. Let's be the country. Fine, if we make a whole bunch extra, we'll sell it to other countries. That's fine. But we need to, when eventually all these stupid global, all these conflicts overseas, like, that I don't give a shit about. I don't care about the Ukraine. I don't care about Russia. The only reason I care about China is because they are, they're an enemy. I don't like communism. I don't like their stupid country. I think what they do, their government sucks, and I would wish their government would be destroyed. But we need to stop with all the shit, like, overseas. Like, we need to bring stuff back here.
Trump 2024, baby.
Whatever runs in 2024, let's start bringing shit back here.
Well, they need, because it's, people are looking, around. I know around here and stuff, people are looking for jobs still, and I think it's sad that they are paying people to come in and put in applications. To me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You give somebody a bonus because they come in and put in an application if they get the job. That's stupid. Okay, you want to give them a sign-on bonus? Fine, give them a sign-on bonus. But let them work for freaking 60 days before you turn around and say, there you go.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The whole food situation, man, if you grow it, give it away. You're not, unless you're under some kind of contract that says you have to burn the crap, give it away.
No, there's no contract. It's the government that forces them to burn.
Oh, hell no.
It's price scout. It's price manufacturing.
Oh, trust me, I know that one, because me and the youngin went to the damn store today, and a box of cereal from last week, we paid $3 and some change for. A week later, today, we pay almost $6 for the same box.
Yeah.
And you got to be ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
And the government is, oh, well, you're just gonna have to get used to paying an extra $400 a month for groceries, and just buy an electric car. That's gonna solve all the problems. Just get used to it, guys. Fuck you.
But you're gonna fill it up with gas, and it's an electric car.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's also a manufacturing crisis. We went from being the biggest exporter of natural gas and oil as of 2020 to now, like, we have shut down all of that, and now we're going to these people that fucking hate our guts and want to kill us. Russia, we were taking it from Russia. Okay, and like, well, now Russia's in a war, so we can't get it from there. So let's go to Venezuela. And Venezuela is, they're not even, they are, that's a proxy state of China and Russia. It's like, so we're stopping, we're going to stop Russia. We're going to stop buying oil from them. We're just going to buy from Venezuela, like that. So you're essentially paying them through a middleman. Okay, great.
The one thing I don't understand about this whole oil situation is the fact that the United States, I think we have the biggest. If I remember right, we have the biggest. We have the biggest oil reserve underneath one of our national forests. But because it's a protected land and it's a quote unquote national forest, we can't drill into it.
Well, there's supposedly a huge there's supposedly a huge oil deposit underneath Central Park in New York City.
Damn. Well, I know there's a massive reserve up in Alaska that, because of, I guess it's underneath the national, like I said, national forest or reserve or whatever, they won't go and drill into it. That would save us so much money.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is,
it's all, yeah. The scarcity is a lie. Scarcity is a lie.
It's a
I mean,
lie.
because
It's
yeah,
all
like
the
you guys were
manufacturing.
like how Robert was talking about how farmers are paid to just like let their crops like rot or whatever or leave their land fallow. So yeah, it's like that's to manipulate prices. Um,
That's what
the
happened with the
the yeah with
Oh, trust me, I know.
with America's arable land, we could literally feed the entire world like no problem, like without any kind of like hardship or like margins, like probably like at least twice over. We could feed the world twice over from the amount that we produce. But again, yeah, it's about price manipulation. It's about creating scarcity because if you have a shit ton of onions, then it gets to a certain point where you're just giving them away. There's no way to make money off onions.
Yeah.
So um, so yeah, and it's like yeah, like the whole but it's like all the policies are designed to, or at least the policies that Biden's implemented in the 2 years or so that he's been president is all just meant like to hurt us. It's not gonna do it's not gonna do shit to fix the climate or uh, you know what is it whatever like social justice thing that they think it's gonna cause. It's doing the exact opposite of you
Yeah.
know
right.
and that's what evil evacuated people do. They invert things. So they say that they're helping, but they're not. I mean, like look at the sanctions that they supposedly put on Russia. It was supposed to, like oh, like we're not going to take any of your oil, and they're like, oh, Russia's like, okay, fine, and they're not hurting at all.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like what people also don't realize is that they had already had sanctions in place well before any of this stuff happened. That was, that essentially was stopping them from circumvent, because they were having to, go. They were trying to build around essentially around Ukraine to get like to this like particular reserve, and they, the this is also why I hate all this like United Nations crap too. But like essentially they had stopped them from building this like underwater pipeline to because essentially like as soon as like that is completed, it's like, oh well, we don't need the Ukraine anymore, so we'll just take them over. And that was like what that sanction had essentially paused them. That's why during the guess what during the Trump presidency, what Russia didn't do? They didn't try to take over more territory. It had been it happened when Bush was president, Obama, and didn't happen any time during Trump, and now it's happening again with Biden. Um, but it's like, okay, well they, because it was something that Trump did, so we're gonna end that. Oh, great. Russia builds that pipeline. Well, all right. And as soon as that's completed, what do? They try to take over Ukraine. Who could have foreseen these circumstances?
You can call me crazy or a conspiracy theorist. I don't think it was a takeover of Ukraine. I think it's more of a, we're going to get everybody to send us all these massive weapons, all this amounts of money.
You know why I would also, I'm sorry, Dave. The other thing, why I don't give a shit about Ukraine, and I think they're kind of full of shit too. Their president is, sending him, he gives a message during the fucking Grammys. Are you shitting me?
Well, like yeah, but then what was it also like? What's his face? Sean Penn, like he was demanding that Zelensky be allowed to speak during the Oscars, but he like I think he didn't even go to the Oscars because they wouldn't allow Zelensky to speak.
Something like that. But like,
Yeah, it's
but
like who
no,
the
yeah,
fuck is this
literally,
guy? Like what? Who cares? Like you know, like people
without,
don't know that Ukraine is like being invaded or whatever. Well, like, but also recently, this whole thing was supposed to be over in a few weeks, but now it's like there's reports saying that Ukraine is actually making like actually counter surging and like they're actually invading Russian territory now. What the fuck? I thought this was supposed to be over within like a week. It's like going on like 2 months now.
It's all bullshit, Andy.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and like and the Russians were supposedly the Russians were supposedly pretty much had the noose around Ukraine's neck, with like the cauldron maneuver or whatever. But like why isn't Ukraine fallen? Why hasn't Zelensky been disposed of, and why hasn't a Russian friendly puppet president been installed? Like this all yeah, all this is bullshit. You just can't trust shit no more.
And when you hear these I won't call them speeches, but like kind of these his begging, the Zelensky begging that he does to the UN and whoever. It's like, no, listen, I feel for everyday Ukrainians and Russians because none of them want this shit, and of course, like those people like who are like I know they want to speak out, but it's like we can't because of there's it puts them in danger and their families in danger, but like these guys don't get me wrong, Zelensky is what he's asking for is ridiculous. It's like no, we're not gonna create this no-fly zone because we could say it, sure, but to actually have a no-fly zone, you need to have somebody actually making a no-fly zone, which we're not going to do.
Enforcement. Enforcement is the problem.
Hope to God we don't do that. But then he's going to Israel and like, you need to do this, and it's like and the Israelis are like, yeah, your country has a bunch of like neo-Nazis in your government, so why the fuck would we you for one?
Yep. So, oh no, but they're not the Nazis that hate Jews. They're the Nazis that hate Russians. So, when you put it that way, that's different.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
God, it's just like, so Ukraine sucks, Russia sucks. Let them duke it out. Who gives a shit? It doesn't affect It doesn't affect you. That's to say. It's like all these other countries, like, mind your fucking business. Just let them duke it out. Like, and if Russia takes them over, tough shit.
Bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think like in this modern time, like we've what is it? We've been blessed with so much peace that we've taken for granted the idea of nation states or whatever, because it's like, oh, like who says like the map has to stay the way it is.
Fuck the United Nations. Screw all
for
that
all
stuff.
This. Yeah, but it's like, but we've taken the idea of like peace for granted, and it's like, we're now, what is it? Like, we are under this delusion, thinking that like the map that we have or that we've been living under for like the past let's say since the end of World War II. For the last like 80 some years, like that has to remain the same forever.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, yes, we the America and even America and Russia have a pact with Ukraine, because when after the Soviet Union fell, Ukraine was sitting on a stockpile of nukes. And to coax them to give them up, we made agreement with them that that the U.S. and Russia would defend Ukraine from attack, but never allowed to be entered into NATO. But there was never a contingent for if one of the agreeing parties attacks them.
Yeah, it just
and so, but then again, like we also made assurances to Russia as well, saying that we'd never like NATO would never admit Ukraine, let alone like these Balkan states that that at least the NATO admitted, breaking the agreement with Russia. So yeah, like I was talking to some people over the weekend, and like, invariably, Russia Ukraine came up, and I just said, it's like, hey, I don't condone the invasion, but I understand why Putin is doing it. Because it's kind of like reverse, Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, and the other unpopular thing is like, guess what? I don't have to like either one of these people.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Yeah, like the whole like Zelensky administration. That's a puppet government. We like that happened during a coup that America funded, that America backed, and like ousted a legitimate government and then installed a more Western friendly one.
Just
Yeah.
give me
So like,
Chernobyl.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and invariably, easy to manipulate. I mean, what was it like? There's that clip. There's like literally a clip of Biden, bragging about how he got a prosecutor, fired because because the prosecutor was looking into the energy company that his son Hunter was sitting on as an executive and being paid like six figures a year.
And that
Even
he was
though
also
even though
getting
he
paid
doesn't even though he doesn't have a background in energy.
and that and that Biden himself was also getting
From
the big guy,
Yeah,
was
the big
getting
guy.
paid from.
Right, yeah, but he's like he bragged about it. It's like, oh yeah, they were supposed to get funding of like like $1 billion when then I told them like, hey, you better get rid of that prosecutor, and it's like, son of a bitch, 30 minutes later I got a call. It's like, well, you got your money, and everyone fucking clapped like seals, like it's like what they didn't like what they heard wasn't like horrific. That a government official said that we basically strong armed another government to doing what we wanted. Unbelievable. Anything else? You have any other thoughts, Dave?
Oh no, man, I'm good, man.
No, I have nothing else to say. Like I said, it's just what we're gonna hear in the news and from our government is that they're gonna blame everything on this war in Ukraine and Russia, and that's not the problem. The problem is dumb policies and regulations that have been enacted in this administration and stuff that's been happening for fucking decades of shipping off manufacturing other jobs to other countries because oh god, we might have to pay like some American to do it for a little bit more, and how that's just we can't tolerate that.
Oh my God, somebody's qualified to do it. We got to pay
So,
them a little bit extra.
so we
Sorry,
have
no, we're
we
going
have
to
horrible
Mexico.
we have horrible like everything's like slavery here, but hey, let's pay this like this actual slave in like Malaysia or China to build my shoe or make my fertilizer for 4 cents a day and oh no, I'm sorry, no, we're paying him. It's oh okay, so it's indentured servitude. Okay, big fucking whoop. It's the same goddamn thing. It's like it just pisses me off. That's not the problem. Is not the Russia Ukraine war. The problem is dumb policies and dumb actions for decades that have led up to this.
Yeah.
Sir, your
And dumb people for
here.
what was that?
No, I was just piggybacking on Robert about his 4 cents for fertilizer. Sir, your cow shit is no good here in America. We have to use some from somewhere else.
Yeah, we'll pay some guy in Russia 4 cents a day to make this fertilizer and send it over to America, or we'll upcharge it like by 100-fold.
Dollar.
And yeah,
Yeah.
my dad
That's
he has a plaque that he bought where it was a share of I think it was a General Motors share like he bought it and his thing was always like we got to buy American products and my dad has been on that forever and I kind of like, I agreed with him, but like as I've gotten older, I understand like why he was so for that, because the more you ship stuff off from like other countries, and there can always be like those trade routes and all that stuff, or you get into conflicts, or trade routes get like destroyed, and you can't rely on other people. It's kind of like you have to do it yourself, and you have to buy BUY American before it's buy America. It's a buy America. And it's that, and that's the plot that he put together. It's like my dad is one of the smartest guys I know, and it's like, yeah, he's totally right on that.
Man's a good man. He knows what he's talking about.
He does.
Yeah, everyone's daddy's the smartest man in the world.
Well,
except for some very special cases. But anyways,
Joe Biden knows, but that's not really true either.
No, it's like Andy's church said. The struggle is real.
Yes, the struggle is very real. But yeah, I know, but I think we have to definitely switch our minds. We have to adopt a different mentality going forward. And I think one of the ideas that that really has to be propagated is like self-reliance, and even self-reliance in a single thing. Like if it comes to food, like be not dependent on stores or supply chains for one thing, like onions or garlic or even like herbs. Start yourself an herb garden on your windowsill in your kitchen, or start growing start planting like garlic bulbs. Whatever you have to do. Just if you're not just make yourself less reliant on even just like one thing, and you'll be better off. And sooner or later you'll start to be able to decouple yourself from the system, from the umbilical cord of of globalism.
Yeah, and I also think it's important to always have like, you don't have to be like those doomsday preppers, but like have at least like a month or a couple months of like stockpiled like food. For even for like natural disasters, like we out here we have earthquakes. It's sometimes you might be without power or water, fresh water. So you need to have that like extra bottled water, some batteries, and like a food supply, because you might be cut off for a little while. You don't know. Out in South Carolina, they occasionally get the occasional hurricane that rolls through, and it's kind of the same thing. You might not have access to like a grocery store or places like that, and you need to have that emergency supply. It's just it's not being like a crazy person or whatever. It's like it's just smart, planning ahead.
Right. Just
you don't have to have that can of wadded beef, from the City Mart.
Yeah, just just do baby steps. I mean, I know now it's going to be a little bit harder for for people to decouple themselves, but it's it's like the same thing that I said back during the lockdowns and all the mandates or whatever. It's like the time to fight has passed, but it's never too late to start fighting. So similarly, it's like it's the time to prepare has passed, but it's not too late to start preparing. So yeah, just so just don't think you have to like completely like change your routine or your life like in a drastic way. Just start with one thing. Kind of like the journey of 1,000 steps begins with a single step. So yeah, just don't be dependent for potatoes, or don't be dependent for cilantro or whatever. Just start doing it.
Potatoes.
Taters.
French fries.
Taters are a good thing.
Yeah. That's all I had to say about that. It's just something that, like, I know the media is gonna lie about it, like, but
Yeah,
big
and yeah, it's like, but yeah, also the media is definitely gonna lie about it. But then also, like, stupid people, they're gonna parrot what the the media is gonna tell them, and it's just like,
CNN,
motherfucker, like, yeah, like, what is it? I saw a video. Of this guy. And I think it was in LA. I think I recognized like the corner, but he was like yelling. He was yelling into his phone, into his camera phone. Pointing at the gas prices. Like, he's like, Putin, you did this. I was like, motherfucker, you did this. All right, because you voted for a guy because over mean tweets. You voted for a guy simply because he wasn't the guy that you were conditioned to hate.
That man said mean tweets.
He said bad things about somebody. Oh no.
Yeah, but this video was hysterical though. Like, it was kind of like, what you would imagine, like, middle-aged, middle-aged boomer type.
Oh yeah.
Glasses and just like kind of deranged, kind of had this deranged look, kind of like, sick, like kind of like unhealthy fat, and just kind of like yelling, and just like screaming like a madman, saying, like, Putin, this is your, like, emphatically pointing at like the gas prices, like, this is your doing, Putin.
No, it's not. Like, Biden, he
right,
didn't
and actually, and interestingly enough, really quick, interestingly enough though, like, the press is like, the media, I'm not giving them any credit on this, but they're now finally, like, asking the hard questions, and they're like, they're doing like the flow charts, and it's like, oh, the timeline doesn't add up, because you're saying that Putin is the cause of all this, but actually, like, inflation and and because of all the lockdowns and like the shortages happened way earlier before the invasion, so like, how can it be Putin's fault that prices were going up like 5 months before the invasion? And it's
that's one of those things where, once again, they're not just discovering they always knew this. The problem is, like, what are they hiding now?
Because you have a man in a White House who stands there and looks out the window and is licking that damn thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this is what drives me insane about they knew this before. They could have asked these questions way before, but the problem is, like, they don't. They hide it until, like, oh well, Biden's really no longer useful, and so we're gonna demolish this guy. But it's like, what are you hiding now? Who are you protecting now? Like, what?
There's a lot of people that are out there that are just now seeing it, and I've been saying it. Rob's been saying it. Andy's been saying it. The man's been a window licker on the short bus for a long damn time.
Well, he was an idiot back in the 70s. He was just a with it idiot.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was just more mentally there, but we knew this about Biden, that he was a plagiarist, he was a racist, that he was a kid sniffer. We knew all of these things. It was now just like, it's kind of like it's the devil's bargain, because Joe Biden has been trying to be president for he tried at least 3 times
to be president. 1843.
Yes, in 1843, 100 and some years ago when he first, got into the Senate. But but it's a devil's bargain, it's like, oh, I want to be president. It's like, okay, but you're not going to be the most respected president, or you're gonna be perceived as the stupidest president. It's like, oh, well, that's not the deal. It's like, the deal's whatever I make it, bitch. So yeah, it's the devil's bargain. It's he wanted to be president, but it's but he didn't read the fine print.
Freaking ass clown.
Yeah. But I think the whole Russia thing, and like, I think it was to cover for the inflation and the what is it, the gas, or the food shortages. But yeah, Biden is definitely he's definitely outlived his usefulness. Or like his past is definitely coming back to haunt him. Like even as far as like that they're trying to create as much distance as they can with like the whole Hunter Biden with his son, you know.
Yeah.
But and they're even trying to make that like a separate thing, from Biden, but I think that's still an attempt to try and cover, or they're definitely trying to cover for like the shenanigans going on in Ukraine, like even like back then when they did like the whole regime change thing. So yeah, so like the whole reason why I think the whole reason why that they're trying so desperately to defend Ukraine is so that Russia doesn't come up. I mean, like it's already kind of like falling apart because like like the biolabs or whatever were discovered that was linked to Anthony Fauci or whatever. So I mean, so imagine imagine what happens if like the Russian army is actually able to take over Ukraine, and like what intel would they be able to unearth?
Notice how you don't hear from him anymore, Fauci.
Right, except for like maybe like a couple weeks ago when he was like on one of the Sunday shows talking about like, oh, I don't think we'll ever really know the price that we paid for the lockdowns and things like that. It's like, motherfucker, we know. All right, like to the point where like they're trying to cover their tracks. They like on the CDC website they changed on the chart of like development for children. They pushed like at like 2 years you're supposed to know like 75 words, but they pushed that back to like 30 months. So like so at like at almost 3 years old you're supposed to know 50 words and not at 2 years old.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So
because people are smart.
But that's all I had to say about that. It's just
yeah, it's
frustrating as hell.
It's frustrating. All right. Let's go on to the second topic for tonight, and that is not specifically this, but Elon Musk buying 9% stake in Twitter.
He's the largest shareholder.
He's the largest shareholder. Like more, he's like three times. What's that?
He owns more than the founder.
4 times. Yeah. He owns more than Jack Dorsey, who has 2% or like 2 point something percent stake in the company. But he's now majority shareholder, and as of today, I believe it was announced that he's actually got a seat on the board of directors.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is all this is all very surprising. Although it may not have been that surprising. I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, like he gave like that very like cryptic, or like kind of like almost telling tweet about like, oh, free speech is the cornerstone of a functioning democracy. Do you think Twitter adheres to this principle? And and the majority of the followers that voted, 70% said no, they don't. But there was a lot of speculation going on, like some people were saying that he might actually start his own platform. But I think at this point, like the market's kind of saturated.
Yeah. Why start your own platform when you can just buy the biggest one?
Well, yeah. I mean, given that Twitter has like the biggest biggest piece of the pie in that market, then you also have like competitors like Getter, Gab, Parler. I mean, and then like Trump's social media, Truth Social. And I don't mind, nothing against like competition or whatever, but I think this move was sorely needed, especially now. And that that's like and that is like the whole like storming of the castle. Um, the left, they play the long game, and they did like the whole long march through the institutions.
Yeah.
But I think we have to have a more dynamic, or at least our side has to take a more dynamic approach to it. And yes, we should do the long march through the institutions, but given that the right is the side, or like our side, or the right, as the one with like the money, we should go for like these smart frontal assaults as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just with this, maybe this is just the skeptical me, and my concern is that, like, oh great, he has, like, the largest stake over everybody, but he's when it comes to these, like, he's on the board, all these, like, stakeholder meetings, like, he's one guy against many. It's kind of the same problem. Like, sure, he has 9%, but he probably has enough people that would be against him that there's not really going to be much change, and that's not his fault. That's not. It's not because, like, he doesn't want there to be change or whatever. He just doesn't have the power to enough power, at least yet, to make those changes.
Yeah, but he still got that voice though.
I'm not, and like I said, I'm not saying he doesn't, and I'm not, and I like Elon Musk. I think there's I like some of the things that he's trying and doing. He's an interesting guy, yeah, and I think he just wants there to be, like, some sort of, like, normalcy to things. Like, let's just stop doing a lot of this crazy shit. Let people say what they want to say. This
Yeah.
is supposed to be an open platform. Let's make it, and let's make sure that it is. Um,
Yeah, because
and
you can't even shoot on Facebook. You can't even you say something that somebody doesn't like, they report it, and oh, your account's blocked.
yeah, exactly. And
People,
so
your head from your ass.
like I said, I'm not against what he did. I think what he did is a good thing. He's one man against many still. It's kind of that same thing. It's a great start, sure, but unless there's somebody else that's more, kind of like him, it's like, yeah, you know what? Let's throw my money cock around, and let's take back these institutions. Like, why build my own when I can just buy this?
Buy it, revamp it, and rename it.
Or you don't even have to rename it. Like, just like, yeah, it's under new management. It's kind of like
Right. Yeah, I know. Again, like, don't. The fact that I brought this up doesn't mean like I'm fully bought in. It's like, oh yeah, Elon's gonna save the day, and of course, we should be very cautious when it comes to stuff like this. Yeah, because there's some, I like Elon Musk as a shithead, but there's some stances that that he has that I don't agree with.
that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, of course, but like, yeah, but I think uh, the amount that he bought into, I think I think can be construed in a positive light, because if he was just like if he was just trying to pump and dump, then he wouldn't then why go for like such a huge stake within the company. If he just if he just want to pump again, if he just wanted to pump and dump, he would have gotten like he could have just done like 3% and be like, oh yeah, I bought into it, and then like after he jacked up the price, sell off all stock, and then like be out.
Yep.
But he hasn't done that. And the rumor I heard too is that he was actually going to buy 15%, but they gave, as I don't know, to quell that, they're like, well, we'll give you 9% and a seat on the board. Whatever that means.
Right. Yeah, so I'm sure there's like some like maneuverings going on in the background.
Because if he had bought 15%, well, that's even more like
if true, more encouraging for sure.
Yeah, like, and that's why I'm like, that's why like my thing is like, is this something like, is this just like the start? Okay, like he bought in 9% and they gave him a seat on the board. Is this just a start where he's like, he's just biding his time and then he's gonna buy like another 9%, like and over time he's gonna secretly buy like all these shares of Twitter, and it's like all of a sudden, like when it comes time to decision time, it's like, oh well, actually technically I override all you people, so and you're all fired. It's kind of like which would be great, and it's like let's just hire people, like let's just hire.
I mean,
good people.
well, in my ideal scenario would be it's like he just deletes Twitter.
Honestly, I'd be okay with that.
I know, just again, just like in like the ultimate like shitlord move, like he gets full control of Twitter and then he just deletes it.
Yeah, because he doesn't need them. He doesn't need
it. Yeah, exactly. That's why I understand like some people thinking that he's just doing it for the meme. Because I mean, fuck, he like look at what he did with Dogecoin. Like Dogecoin was a joke, but but Elon Musk like pumped it up so much that now it's like a viable cryptocurrency.
Yeah. It's like he's making hand over fist with like SpaceX and Tesla. Like he doesn't need fucking Twitter.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like if again, ideal scenario, if he's just doing this to be a shitlord, and like he's just and he's like gonna like scuttle, he's just gonna like scuttle, Twitter, once he gets control, then bravo to you, sir. Bravo. A tip of my hat.
I'm all for it. I am all for it.
Right. But yeah, but even still, like the principle of like storming the castle, I think, is a good one, and I think more, and actually, Elon isn't even like isn't just one example. What is it like? Jeremy Boring, he went, the guy that started the Daily Wire, he went off and started Harry's because Harry's, he started his own razor company because the Harry's razor company like did the Daily Wire dirty.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, and like that's not exactly storming the castle, but it's just like fuck you then.
Okay, we don't need your fucking money. We'll just do our own thing. We'll build our own theme park with blackjack and hookers.
And there's your Simpsons reference for the episode.
Futurama reference.
Hey, there you go.
But this whole like storming the castle thing. Yeah, this is like the Jeremy Boring one is not exactly, it's not as though he like bought into Harry's and like or whatever. But
like I said, and
but if you want to think about the razor market as like a castle, then yeah, he's storming the castle. He's Jeremy Boring is starting his own thing, and he's attacking that market that's been for years been dominated by companies like Gillette and Bic and Schick or whatever.
The razors suck.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I still have them, but I bought a cartridge, like 3 years ago, and because since I started growing this, I haven't had.
Yeah, I went to, I started doing like Dollar Shave Club, and honestly, like they make good razors, and they don't have some political agenda. They just sell me the fucking razors. Awesome, that's what I want. I don't want companies like having an agenda. Just sell me a good product. Just sell me the fucking thing.
Man, I pay $10 a month. I get 5 razors, and then by the end of the month, where the other pack's supposed to come, I still got like 3 razors.
It's awesome.
So, and then the shave butter, man, that stuff works great.
It's so good.
I'll give them a plug. Dollar Shave Club. Go check them out.
Yeah, we're not sponsored, but hey, Dollar Shave Club, you know, you cuss the check and we'll talk nice about you.
Hey, there you go.
They make a good razor. I'll give them that. Like it's not a
Yeah,
sponsor.
yeah,
But
and
you don't have to
Rob
go
is
and buy
Rob
them.
is a actual customer, so.
Yeah,
Hey,
you don't.
I would say this: I've tried Harry's. I've bought Harry's from Walmart. Those razors are pretty decent. You still can't top freaking Dollar Shave Club though.
And you got the shave butter. You got and like all their other products too are pretty good. Like they got the face wash. They got the shampoo and conditioner. I use all of them. It's they really work. It's really good.
They even got the butthole wipe, dude.
Yeah, the butt wipes. The one
That butt
wipe Charlie.
awesome.
The one wipe Charlies. I love them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's
All
like,
right.
man, I didn't know all that.
Well, I mean, I've known about it, and like, you know, Robert has generously offered, you know, for me to try one of those one wipe Charlies, you know, when you know we'll hang out, but.
Because you always shit at my house.
I do. I always shit at his place. I don't know what it is about your apartment that just makes me want to shit all the
My
time.
apartment comforts your bowels, and it's like you know
It
what?
does. You know, I feel very safe. You know, I feel very safe, and my sphincter just kind of, you know, loosens, and it just makes me want to go.
Hello, time to go.
I know. As soon as I cross the threshold into Robert's place, it's like, oh, time to shit.
It never fails. Every time he walks into my house, like, fuck, I gotta shit.
Yeah.
Dang. Oh Lord.
All right. Any other things to add about?
No. Like I said, I think it's good, and it makes sense. Like you know, why just create another? In this case, when it comes to like you know a social media platform, you know, Twitter is you know compared to the other ones, it is actually a really good app. Like I use Twitter quite a bit, and the why build a inferior version of it when it's like, oh well, fuck it, I just have the money. Why don't I just buy it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know,
Yeah,
and
I mean, nothing against Andrew Torba, who legit like ground up built like his own servers, his own payment processors.
that's great.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
too.
yeah. Nothing taken away from him. But yeah, it's just like this idea of like how atomization, um, and like the democratization of the internet. As good as that is, you know, there is something to be said about a centralized place where people can talk. I mean, as as much as we shit on like the networks now, but back in the day there was like 4 or 5 options. ABC,
Yep.
NBC, CBS, PBS, but at least everyone was like watching the same stuff, and everyone is being told the same thing, as opposed to um, now you have like 70,000 like networks or whatever telling you things.
There's a lot of things that are competing for attention.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's also it's
Right.
it is
But,
and it
but
isn't.
to quote to quote Denzel, like, and I'm sure, and I'm thinking he's quoting somebody too, but nowadays, the media is like, they're so concerned about being first, they don't care, like they don't take the time and care to make sure that they're right.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, that's like that would be the only downside to like kind of the democratization of like news or media or things like that.
Well, lies spread faster than lies spread around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on.
Exactly. Ben Franklin, I believe.
Like a $2 hooker.
Yeah. I don't know who. I to be honest, I don't know who said that quote, but like it's like it's true.
Yeah. I mean that's why and I think that's why a lot of the legacy media, they use that tactic because they want to get that out there, and then they'll quietly make like a correction later, because they know that no one's gonna like bother to check if the story has evolved, or new details have arisen.
Of course not. Like, and that's why, like, and the other time, like, right away when they make an article, the truth is buried on like Article 46, on like paragraph 46.
They lie by structure.
Yeah. No, we told the truth. It's right here. It's like, yeah, way down at the end where that nobody fucking reads to, except for crazy people like us who want to know like what's actually being said.
Exactly. So yeah, on the whole, I'm very encouraged by this this latest castle that's been stormed by Elon Musk, and I hope we see more of this. I really do.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, because I think our side, or like the quote unquote right, I think we can be dynamic. We can do the long march through the institutions, and we can do these very dynamic frontal assaults.
Yeah.
And I think that we can be effective. All right. Okay. Before we get into our movie review, I would just like to, this is a personal thing for us, and we do want to address the Bruce Willis news, because I know it kind of got buried because of all the craziness that happened. But for those of you not aware, Bruce Willis was recently diagnosed with aphasia, and he subsequently announced his retirement from acting profession. And for those of you not unaware, aphasia is a neurological disorder where it basically scramble your words. So you'll be talking to someone, and all of a sudden it'll be like peanut butter egg dirt. Cucumber, calculator, Phoenix.
You start sounding like Joe Biden.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no, you can't. Oh no. You can't class that crazy son of a bitch with Bruce Willis, man.
No. I know, but I'm just saying, like, your words don't make sense. It's almost like, from what I understand, it's like you're almost unable to like. He's almost unable to understand speech and also not able to talk either. It's really crazy, like what happens, and it's scary that something like that could happen.
Biden's that special kind of special.
Well, he was like that when he had a normal brain, before the Alzheimer's. But no, it's just kind of sad to hear. And Bruce Willis is one. I know the rumors in Hollywood that he was kind of a difficult guy to work with.
And Bruce, I don't care what nobody says. Bruce Willis is a shit, and he's better than Denzel Washington. Fuck right, I said it.
Whoa! Hey, don't be bad mouthing Denzel. All right, don't you be bad mouthing Denzel.
What?
You heard me.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a diehard, no pun intended, Bruce Willis fan. Yeah. I obviously, everyone knows my love for the Die Hard franchise. But I think I've liked pretty much all of, even like the not so great films. Like I think Bruce Willis is a good actor.
Agreed.
He kind of it was weird. He went from like these like weird like romantic comedies, and kind of like, when he got when he got cast for Die Hard, everyone's like, they wanted the action star like Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger, or
right.
These super tough guys, and it's like, you're gonna put this romantic comedy guy in here, kind of like when we thought, like, pretty much what everyone thought about with Heath Ledger and the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine back then it would have been like if it'd be like today it'd be like if Hugh Grant was cast for John Wick.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like, maybe he'd be great, but we don't. We just don't know.
Right. Yeah. Because we only known him in one context.
Yeah, exactly. And
Although, really,
yeah,
as an aside, I like to say, like, I was very impressed with Hugh Grant's performance in The Gentleman, the latest Guy Ritchie movie.
it's real good. It's real
Yeah,
good.
and like, in terms of acting, he was really good. Like even like changing his accent to like a more like a what was it, like, I think it was like a more Yorkshire, more like working
Yeah,
class accent, as opposed to more like his usual like more posh kind of British accent.
yeah.
But
But
yeah, continue.
Bruce Willis, kind of, he obviously Die Hard was a huge, huge, huge hit. And then he kind of got pigeonholed in a lot of these action films, which is great. Don't get me wrong, I love a great action film, and a lot of these ones that Bruce Willis was in, fucking awesome. But then you get like movies like The Sixth Sense, which were great.
Mm-hmm.
You have, I'm trying to think
Had
of this.
Death Becomes Her.
Yeah,
Oh.
dude, that's a good movie.
Or what is it? Unbreakable and like the subsequent.
Unbreakable. Yeah, everyone like, oh, this movie is, it's no good. It's like Unbreakable is a great movie. It's
He did really good in Glass too.
Yeah.
that's the one I haven't seen. I have not seen Glass yet.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch Split. Split is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
That
Yeah,
took me
a rare return to form for M. Night Shyamalan.
That was the actor in that. God, I'm forgetting his name right now, but that is one of the absolute greatest acting performances I've ever
Oh
seen.
yeah,
in my
James
life.
McAvoy.
James McAvoy, yeah, that was single-handedly one of the greatest acting performances I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
just to
'cause he played,
embody all those different personalities.
And you
yeah,
believe
he
it.
played
You
Professor
believe
X too.
he makes you believe it. I just
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, Bruce Willis, even like so like the one movie that I would say that the only movie of his that I'm like, and it's not Bruce Willis's fault. In fact, there's only one actor that like to me really ruined the movie, and that was Cop Out. Cop Out was awful. It's so bad. And I now don't get me
Yeah, that's the
wrong.
one with Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, the actor
Oh,
that ruined it, and I love him. I love Tracy Morgan. He's a great comedian, and he's been great in a bunch of stuff. But he ruined that movie. This is a movie that like we should have cast like Chris Tucker, or like Chris Rock, or some other like somebody else, because Tracy Morgan ruined that movie. Like obviously Bruce Willis is your straight man. That's fine. I'm down with like the Bruce Willis casting. Tracy Morgan, fuck that movie. It's so bad. That is definitely my top 5 worst films of all time. It's so bad.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but now that I'm morbidly curious to see how bad it is. Because I know your tolerance for bad movies.
he is bad.
I know your tolerance for bad movies, and so like I need to see this movie. I think.
You know how much I hate The Last Jedi? That's how
What?
much I hate this film.
Oh, okay. So how much I hate The Last Jedi? That's how much you hate this movie?
Yeah, I fucking hate Cop Out. It's terrible.
Wow. Yeah, because I really hate Last Jedi. So.
That's a bad movie.
Oh. Yeah, because I really hate Last Jedi. So if you're saying that that the level of hate you have for Cop Out is the same as my level of hate for Last Jedi, that's really saying something.
Now, if you want to, because I know we're gonna end up doing Schlocktober later this year.
Oh,
if you want to get back at me, we'll do a Cop Out review.
Done. All right.
Man, you set yourself up.
Watch. I fucking love the movie.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be like it's gonna be like a 5-star review. For
I know
you,
it's gonna be 5 for me. It's like it's a masterpiece. What's wrong with you, Rob? It's a masterpiece.
It's a negative 5 stars for me.
And he's gonna see it go spastic. He's gonna pee his pants from laughing.
Maybe I'll give it a 5-star just to spite you.
God, that movie. And listen, I am a guy. I watch bad movies for fun. Like I've seen.
Yeah,
Birdemic
Rob
10
is a
times.
bad movie connoisseur. All right.
I've watched movies like Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, or the giant spider invasion, or Birdemic. I've seen these films on multiple occasions.
What is wrong with you?
But
Rob's very special.
But then I watch movies like Cop Out, or Man with Iron Fists, and I'm just like the rage inside me of like how, because it's not that they're not so bad that they're good, but they're just like, they are horrible movies, and
how many times have you seen the movie Teeth or Slither?
I don't think I've seen either of those.
I've seen the remake of Slither.
Watch Teeth and then get back to me.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Let me write that down because I'll forget.
Trust me. Once you watch it the first time, you won't ever forget it. It is that bad.
Wow.
Oh God, I'm already like looking at it like.
Man, I will say I'm actually kind of. It does make me sad to hear that Bruce Willis is no longer going to be acting. It just.
Yeah.
That's kind of That's going that like every time like he put out a movie, man, that was like the #1 movie I ever wanted to go watch.
He was strong like for so long. Like he was a guy that like, oh, Bruce Willis is in this, I'm in. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of like the go-to like silent strong type. Even in Armageddon, he's kind of like that strong silent type person.
Arguably not a great movie, but it was also a great movie at the same time.
Hey, bro. Be careful what you say about the movie, man.
Hey, I love Armageddon. I had a great fucking time, but it's no Citizen Kane. I'll just say that.
Hey, my wife will unleash the hounds of hell on your ass. You best be careful.
I'm not saying that I hate Armageddon. I think it's a good movie. I'm just saying it's not. Like I said, it's not a cerebral movie. I'll just say that.
I will say this. I was actually really surprised he took on the role of Colonel in this G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Oh yeah, he played.
I haven't seen it. So.
Yeah, the sequel to the G.I. Joe movie. He's the general that was the inspiration for why they're called Joes. Yeah, like his character's name is like General Joe something or other.
I think it was no, I thought it was a general or colonel.
I believe it was a general.
Yeah.
No, Hawk.
No, Hawk was what's his face? Dennis Quaid in the first one. Yeah, but Bruce Willis played like this general that like was the inspiration, like for why they are called G.I. Joes. Yep.
I'll have to go through and like watch those movies. I haven't seen them yet.
And I actually like Retaliation more than
the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it's I know that the second one's kind of a sequel, but like I just like the second one better. It feels like more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know. It was at this weird time that they were using Channing Tatum as like this trailer bait, because he would be in the movie, but not really be in the movie. It was like this. It was like that for G.I. Joe Retaliation, even though he was like kind of arguably like the star of the first one.
Yep.
And then like even in the sequel to the Kingsman, like he was heavily utilized in advertisement, but he's like barely in it.
Yep.
Just like Liam Neeson with Battleship.
Yeah, exactly. He got Liam. Yeah, Channing Tatum got Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Oh, Liam Neeson's in this movie? I'll watch this
Liam
horrible
Neeson's.
movie. Say, oh, he's in it for 2 seconds. Awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, at least Rihanna's in it.
Oh. Oh man.
That movie.
Liam Neeson was actually the only reason why I wanted to watch Battleship.
You know that they, like part of that budget, like it's like, well, I'll do this movie, but you're gonna pay me $5 million.
Pretty much, yeah. The budget definitely went to Liam Neeson because I mean,
he got his Marlon
he was literally the biggest name because like you had Taylor Kitsch, from Friday Night Lights fame, but like he was like his star was like on the decline, and then you had Rihanna who was like an untested kind of like musician, doing the crossover thing into acting. But other than that, like Liam Neeson was like the biggest name in that movie.
Didn't pan out so well for Rihanna.
Yeah.
No. She got those Irish sunglasses from Chris Brown.
Oh, I mean, I'm not defending Chris Brown's actions, but I do want to know what she said to him to set him off. I actually want to know because I have a theory that I have a theory that she said that he had a small dick. But that's just my theory because just kind of like knowing the type of man that Chris Brown is, it's like she said that he had a small dick and that's what set him off. But I want confirmation. I wish I could develop time travel technology and cloaking technology and then go back in time and be in that car and hear what she says to him.
Oh yeah. But I love the shame laugh that I got from both of you with my Irish sunglasses joke.
Yeah, it just took me for a second. Irish sunglasses. I was like, it's because Liam Neeson's Irish, and then I realized what you were saying.
Yeah.
But sometimes I forget that Liam Neeson's Irish.
Yeah, but because of what was going on with Bruce Willis, Andy and I kind of decided that next month we'll make it a Bruce Willis month, just kind of celebrate some of his great movies, or at least ones that either we haven't seen or that we really enjoy. But since we're not gonna, we won't see him in any movies for a while, or anymore. But what would you guys consider one of your favorite Bruce Willis films? Like, what are you like? Hey, when I go to this film all the time when it comes to Bruce Willis. What are some of your favorite Bruce Willis movies?
Oh God, dude, I could sit down and watch Bruce Willis all damn day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, just right off the bat, would obviously be Die Hard.
Yeah, I think I've seen Die Hard with a Vengeance 25 times. I fucking love that movie. I've seen that more than the original. I think that honestly, Die Hard with a Vengeance is to me one of it's a. I know it's not cinema perfection, but for me that's the perfect movie. It's just
if it's on Tubi or Hulu or Netflix and they come and I see it, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I it's once if I see that on TV, oh, Die Hard with a Vengeance, it's okay, well, my day it's set. I don't care. If I have plans, I'm canceling them because I'm gonna watch Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if
Yeah,
I was
for me, a close second will probably. I mean, you might hate me, but a close second for me would be Armageddon.
No, I don't. once again, I like Armageddon. I think Armageddon is a good movie. Obviously it was a huge blockbuster hit. It's a good movie. I'm just saying that, like, compare that to like Casablanca. It's not a good movie. I love it. It's good. I don't hate Armageddon. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's every once in a while I have to watch it, and I have to like man cry, that with that scene, in the scene where he's like, saying goodbye to his daughter.
Yeah, don't we all cried during that scene? It's okay.
Man, I ain't cried during that scene. I cried. I ain't gonna lie. I cried whenever Ben Affleck was singing "Leaving on a Jet Plane."
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good scene too.
Yeah.
No, if I was gonna go with like a non-Die Hard movie for Bruce Willis, I really like The Fifth Element.
Oh hell yeah!
That's a good movie.
Well, in kind of a way, that's almost a Die Hard movie because he's put in like this extraordinary circumstances.
Die Hard in the future,
Yeah, Die Hard in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, like the best I think, like in terms of acting wise, I'm gonna give it to Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense is great.
Yeah.
The other movie I have never seen it. It's on my list. I'm gonna I think I may want to put this in our review for next month. I want to watch Hudson Hawk.
I've never seen that movie. There's been many opportunities for me to watch it, like especially like on TV too, but I've never watched it though.
That is a movie I've been dying to see for a long time, and that's like I said, that's just one of the films I've just never seen for some reason, and yeah, I really want to watch it. And I have seen like some of his like more recent stuff, like what did I watch of his that I really liked? Oh shit,
they had a new one that was just put on Hulu. And
he'd been like churning out like a bunch of movies like the last 3 or 4 years. Like he's been busy.
Yeah, like he did like the whole like Red franchise.
The
Red
movie. I have not seen the Red. I haven't seen Red 1 or 2. I haven't seen those.
He also did like he did a few.
Did you see
what was that?
Or hostage.
Oh yeah, he plays the hostage negotiator. I haven't seen that one either.
That's a good movie.
That is a.
I know he recently did he turned out a couple movies for like AMC.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like? It was kind of like The Most Dangerous Game, where he's put on this island and like these rich people go and like hunt him or something.
What?
Yeah, hold on, let me look it up real fast.
That sounds great.
Tu bois sans dire.
You ain't gotta pay me a whole bunch. Just pay my house off.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, he's been putting out a bunch of movies.
He's getting ready for that retirement.
Yeah. Oh, Apex. Apex. I think that's what it's called. And then there's another one here. It's called Fortress. There's one There's one with Frank Grillo. He played Rumlow in the Marvel movies, with the Captain America movies, called Cosmic Sin.
He played in another one too that was on. He was up in outer space. It was like a B movie. It wasn't really like a live A, like Die Hard or nothing like that.
Right.
Oh, another good movie with Bruce Willis. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. Did you ever watch Bandits with Billy Bob Thornton and
Yes,
that one's really good too.
that was an awesome movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it probably since 2001. But that's another movie I want to rewatch too. And then like The Last Boy Scout with was it like Marlon Wayans? Yeah.
That is actually my favorite movie of his.
The
He-
Last Boy Scout.
Yes.
I've never seen it. I really want to watch it.
You've never seen it?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
That it's got it's got Damon Wayans, and it's got Holly Berry. Got Holly Berry as the girlfriend.
Oh, so that okay, so that yeah, and I know that one was like from the '90s, right?
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I know he did another movie with Halle Berry. I think it's called Perfect Stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, because I always thought that was their first time working together, but
Mhm.
no. But I guess yeah, Last Boy Scout was the first time that they, or
Yeah,
one
I've
of the
heard
first
12
times.
Monkeys is pretty good too. I've never seen that.
What was that?
12 Monkeys.
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, that movie is actually based on an art film.
Is it?
Yeah. Or like kind of like a short story. What is it? There was like this art film that they used. But they used, instead of like motion pictures, they used still images.
Yep.
With like narration and voiceover work.
You know another movie that doesn't get talked about a lot, but is actually I actually really loved it was Looper, which was done by your favorite director Andy Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's funny because I hate what he did with Last Jedi, but there are some movies that I think he did really like. He excels at, like Looper. Like I enjoyed Looper.
Awesome.
I enjoyed Looper. But what is it? Yeah, but I just he just there's a certain niche that he does, and it's like those smaller kind of um, I don't know, kind of like more encapsulated kind of movies, like the one-offs. Like I don't know if he's capable of handling like a big franchise.
Yeah,
But
we also the other one that the remake of Death Wish was pretty good too.
Yes.
oh, Death Wish, that's right. That's right.
That was a good one.
That dude, oh, that was awesome.
All right. Anything else to add to?
No, I just like I said, I just wanted to for a short moment to talk about Bruce Willis. He's been a huge part of Hollywood for a long time. It's gonna be sad to see him go, and a part of me wonders, like because he's been doing a lot, like the last like 3 or 4 years, he's put out a lot of movies,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was doing it because I think he knew that like he probably got this diagnosis like very early on.
Right. Yeah. It's not like it's like he just recently got diagnosed, but
yeah, and I think this was more of like he wanted to, you know what, I think he did like acting, and it's like, well, okay, if he was gonna go out on his own terms, and he wanted to put out like, hey, you know what, maybe it's like I need to do these movies, maybe take that quick payday, so that my family is gonna be okay after like because it's not just him, obviously, he has kids and he has a young family, so it's more of like I want to make sure that they're okay, so I'm gonna take these paydays, and he's like some of his movies. I've seen some of his recent stuff. Some of it's pretty good. Some of it's okay. Some of it's not so great. But I think he was probably doing that to take because he has some young kids right now too with his recent marriage. So he's kind of looking out for them.
right.
And yeah, I just wanted to honor the guy because he's given me years of great entertainment. I know he was a difficult guy to work with, but hey, you know what? He's one of those great Hollywood actors. He does deserve some credit, and just wanted to honor him for a short time. And like I said, next month we're gonna do some Bruce Willis. We're gonna do our Bruce Willis month. We'll watch some of his great films, and yeah,
He's a damn good actor.
hell yeah, he is.
All right. All right. This will. Well, I guess this will bring us to our movie review. To remind everyone, this month's theme is Anime April, and we'll be starting it off with a review of Akira from 1988. Let me hit y'all with the synopsis, and we'll get rolling. In 1988, the Japanese government drops an atomic bomb on Tokyo after ESP experiments on children go awry. In 2019, 31 years after the nuking of the city, Kaneda, a bike gang leader, tries to save his friend Tetsuo from a secret government project. He battles anti-government activists, greedy politicians, irresponsible scientists, and a powerful military leader until Tetsuo's supernatural powers suddenly manifest. A final battle is fought in Tokyo Olympiad, exposing the experiment's secrets.
Yeah, so obviously we know when Andy came to Akira, that was like his cousin showed him the film. That was like that was his first anime. Was this your first viewing of Akira, Dave?
Mine? No, actually. God, man, I'm 40. I'll be 41 soon. First time I watched it, I was, Jesus Christ, 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
And I've watched it a couple of times since then, but man, I've watched it 3 times since me and you talked last about me coming on, and it just, man, the amount of action that is in this movie is just it's relenting. And it goes off from, to me, you for the people who do the certain non-legal stuff, watch it, run around. You trip balls all day long. It's a good movie. But yeah, it was this was like probably my 5th time watching it in 20 years. So
okay. Yeah, well, this was when we were. I watched this. Actually, I have watched a lot of anime, but like this is actually I had never seen this before. We started talking about this. So I mean I watched it several times since over the course of this week. But yeah, this movie it's like wow, it's great. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. When it comes to this movie, why I like it so much is not only has it been this movie was influenced by a lot of different things, but it is also this movie has also influenced a bunch of other things too,
Yeah.
especially in the animation world. When I watch this, I think of Blade Runner right away. And clearly the director watched Blade Runner.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I think about too is not only did this get it was inspired by Blade Runner and probably other science fiction as well, but what I realize is how much not only anime but like other animation and like other movies have been inspired by this, especially like like there's a point in the movie where Kaneda, the main character, he does that like slide on his bike, kind of like we talked about this with like Sanjuro, with like the final fight, like where he slices that dude, and like the blood pack, that or it was supposed to be just like a drip of blood, but then it explodes, and you just see the blood splurt go crazy, and the guys are gonna think they're gonna get fired, but like the director is like, I love it, that's awesome, and that became a trope in a lot of like Japanese anime and like a lot of stuff. Similar to here, that bike slide, and some of the movements of Canada have become iconic things in anime going forward, but also in animation, and most notably, I think of Batman the Animated Series with Robin. With Robin has the motorcycle. He does the bike slide. He does the thing where he the slow motion, like jump off the motorcycle and like kicks
I
the dude in the face.
I know, and I know exactly what episode you're talking about. And
Yeah,
that's Robin's Reckoning.
yeah,
When he finds out that the gangster that him and Batman were chasing was the same guy that murdered his family.
yeah.
And there's that great scene where Robin comes in to save the day, and he comes and he does like that side slide in, much like how you were describing in Akira.
That's right out of Akira. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing too is like even like some of the way that certain things are lit, like kind of like right from the beginning, after the whole bike gang chase, and the army is coming, and you start to see like the lights from the helicopters, like that's Batman the Animated Series right there. That's
Mm-hmm.
inspired, Batman the Animated Series was inspired by like, oh wow, look at how the lighting is done.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. Interestingly enough, Batman the Animated Series was the first series to use what is it, to draw on black paper, because they wanted their like blacks to be really black. So instead of like doing drawing on white paper and then shading it in black, they actually started off with black
Yeah,
paper.
and that's what made them unique. And
Hmm.
but yeah, that's exactly what they took a lot of that inspiration from Akira, and it's yeah. So those are just some of like the references I could think of. Just like I was
Hmm.
like, wow, like So not only has this inspired like for anime going forward, because you see like a lot of the characters do like there's like these great fight scenes. The character does like the slide. That's right out of Akira, obviously. And
Hmm.
then the one thing about this film, like it, I'll just say this right up front. This is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. It looks really good. This is arguably the greatest looking animated film I've ever seen, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. It still holds up. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
I mean,
and at the
It
time,
definitely does hold up to the test of time. I will say that too.
hmm
yeah. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that so this is based off of a comic series that actually at the time was not completed. It had not been completed yet. So the guy that was the creator of the manga series was still working on the comic, but was asked to do the movie, and he would only do it if he was asked to, like if he had complete control over it, and they gave it to him. The the proposed budget was like 1.1 billion yen, which was like around like you know forget, it was like close to like $7 or $8 million US. It ended up being about like by the time it was all done, it was about like 6 million, 5.5, $6 million, which at the time was the most expensive movie ever done in Japan. Like an animated film at least. It was extremely expensive, but when you look at it, it's like, yeah, this is. Of course, it was like it needed to be that much. I mean, it was one
Well,
of the most extensive animated films ever.
well, think about how much money and stuff, even since it was made, how much money that movie has made.
There were 10 production companies. Like that's why they at the beginning, like when they're doing the kind of like the initial credits. Now it was distributed by Toho, but it was they have that like card that says the Akira Committee production.
Right.
There were 10 companies that were involved in the production of this movie.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, it's insane. But let's get into the film a little bit. Like, what did you guys think about it? What'd you guys think?
First off,
I have
the
so
action
many-
was to me the action was like one of the best that I've seen. The characters they actually had, I know a lot of people are gonna probably be like, well, what's he talking about? The characters have depth, especially oh god, what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. Tatsuya.
Tetsuo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tatsu. Yeah, him. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's a
the
little
guy that
later.
the guy that develops all the powers.
Tatsuya. Yeah, Tatsuya. He went from being this kid who had ambitions of riding the motorcycle and then turn around and wanting to be, somebody that didn't need somebody else to come and protect him, come and help and bail him out when he was in trouble. And, because of the psych powers and everything that he had within himself that overly developed within a short period of time, he ended up getting that. But it also, made him crazy in the process.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too. Like, for what we understand of Tatsuya, from the movie and from like the manga, is that he was a kid that like he orphaned or like given away, and
Or like
he,
abandoned, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like the run. And Kaneda, the main character, kind of takes, kind of protects him, takes him
Yep.
under wing. He doesn't necessarily treat him very well. It doesn't necessarily come off in the movie, but in the comics, oh yeah, he's kind of he's kind of a, but he obviously like he kind of treats Tatsuya like the run he is and protects him and like he cares about him. And Tatsuya is tired of it. Like even in the comics, when there's that confrontation between them, it's like it's like you've always been kind of an ass. To Kaneda. It's like you've always been a pain in my ass. But so there's that initial Tatsuya is always trying to prove himself. He has a chip on his shoulder, and then when he gets and here's the thing is like I always like wonder like did he always have that power, or was it his interaction like initially with the Espers where he like developed because of his interaction with them, like he was either his powers were unlocked or was he like given power? That I don't know, but
I
like
personally, from watching the movie and everything, he had it within him, but then when he had the interaction and everything, that's what triggered
It was like he had this latent ability, but like being exposed to that kid to
Yep.
what like kind of kickstarted the process.
Okay.
and then once he was brought to the custody of the colonel and the doctor, that's when they like experimented on him and further amplified his
Enhanced.
powers.
Yeah.
Enhanced him. That's a better word.
Yeah.
Enhanced him.
But he goes from this kid angry kid with a chip on his shoulder to now he has the power to do
God
stuff.
level powers.
Yeah, but he becomes like his brain breaks in a sense, and he becomes evil. He's not a good guy. He in essence, Tatsuya is the antagonist of the movie. you
Yeah,
kind of feel sorry for him, but at the same time, like you're like, he needs to die.
yeah. Now I will like the one thing I will say that is good about him is even though he was having these power, his powers were coming in and he was struggling with his own morality and everything about it, is he always looked out for uh, the one girl.
Yeah, Cody.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he was always looking out for her,
Mm-hmm.
and that's honestly why I couldn't, you know, as a character, I couldn't turn my back on him, because he was always like, I need to protect her.
Actually, yeah, I feel the same way because in a weird way, I was rooting for Tetsuo. I was like, I was waiting for because again, I haven't seen this movie in probably as long as Dave, and I don't, and at the time I was still a young kid. Um, but yeah, like watching it now, I was waiting for like that redemption arc, or like that point where he can redeem himself, where he's like, he gets the power under control, and he brings back Kaori, and saves the city or whatever. But in a way, he does have a redemption, but it's not in the way that I wanted it to work out.
Yeah, the redemption that I think he got whenever, um, which I will say was at the end of the movie,
Right?
because
Yeah. Yeah. But again, but I just like the redemption just wasn't what I was expecting or what I would want.
right,
I wanted. But yeah, you're right. He does have a redemption arc, just not in the
yeah.
way that I would have wanted.
That was a horrible part, though.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, I mean
Kaori is
this
more
movie was definitely influenced by a lot of like even as much as we want to say that that Akira went on to influence a lot of media after it. This Akira was an I think inspired by a lot of like Western media as
Hmm.
well. Like especially like like the body
Yeah.
horror. It was very
Dude.
who's that one director like that does all the like the body horror stuff in the West? There's like Cronenberg. There you go. It was very like Cronenberg esque.
Yeah. Yeah. John Carpenter does a few movies like this.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. And so yeah, as much as we want to say that Akira went on to inspire like all of Western media, it's kind of like a give and take thing where I think
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
um,
one of his big influences is also another like Japanese animated series that he enjoyed as well. Like it was Tetsu. How was it? It was like what's the influence was it was a series called Tetsuya like 28 Go. Yeah, Tetsujin 28 Go. So there's a lot of inspiration from that as well. But yeah, there's a lot of Western influence in here, like you're saying. Like yeah, the body horror stuff, the cyberpunk elements, like those are all came from the West. And yeah, we have like a extremely tragic figure in Tetsuo, and Kaori like too. Like she gets treated worse. Tetsuo. It's like oh my god, what happens to her? So it's like oh my god, that's just
yeah.
tragic.
I mean, other than like falling in love with a loser, but but yeah, like I mean, she almost gets sexually assaulted. She ultimately ends up getting swallowed up by you know her
The guy
boyfriend's
that
like
loves her.
Yeah,
her boyfriend's like manifestate power manifestation. The girl had it rough.
Man,
Let's just say that.
definitely. Yeah, 100%. She had it rough.
Um,
Let's
yeah,
talk. Let's
the
talk a little bit.
got it though at the end though.
Yeah.
mm,
Let's talk a little bit about like the whole like the government and like the espers, because that
mhm.
was something that
Oh,
we're given very little about what's actually going on with that, and I have a lot of questions.
okay. Well, yeah, I think I might be able to answer, but I didn't realize this, but again, and like that whole like influence thing. But yeah, that like if you take those three Esper kids, dude, they're so the precogs from Minority Report.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Um, but anyways, to your point, like what were some of the things that that you wanted to flesh out?
So from my understanding, this is just like from what I'm watching is obviously they're extremely childlike, and I think that's also but from what we find out is that these kids were around during the times when Akira was still alive,
Mm-hmm.
back in the 80s when they were
Well,
doing
yeah,
all this.
Akira was another Esper.
He was
Yeah.
number Esper, right? He was number 28. They all had different numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing all the. We don't even know why they were doing those tests though. That's something we just never find out why.
I think that honestly, I think the Espers were the three that were there were the ones that actually survived the the
The testings and
nuclear blast and the testing and all that, and with the experimentations and everything. I think those were the only ones that survived. So I
well,
think that's
because
because I know the little girls. I know the female one was um, she was more reserved about everything, but she was always the one trying to hint out about what's going on.
right, yeah, she
Well,
was very much like like the narrator almost, like when she would like talk through Kai, that
Yep.
anti-government rebel. Um, yeah, so she definitely had like more. Interestingly enough, even though she was like a child, but like still hella old, she was definitely like kind of like the mother figure uh,
Yep.
in the movie. But
because those kids are like they're almost like what 40-ish years old, but they
right,
have
but
like
they
Hmm.
a zombie quality to them. Like whether it's through because of the Akira explosion, or if it's like because of like the drugs that they take, it keeps them in like this weird like childlike form, but like they're old.
right, yeah. I also thought that it could be just like a different visual means of storytelling, like how they're not allowed to like go out in the world, so like they don't get much sun, so like they're kind of pale. But yeah, it could also be from the drugs as well, because yeah, like they this the really, or at least
Constant
it
injection.
seems like, or at least like in the synopsis that I read, it seems like they're saying that the the atomic attack wasn't because of like World War III. It's because they were trying to
They
kill
were doing
Akira.
patients.
They killed Akira because like he got too powerful, and the only way to stop him was to nuke him.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
that didn't work. Now did it?
yeah, and that's why like they built like that facility, like the Olympic Stadium that they were building on top of it was kind of like to hide the truth. But
Yep.
that's why like when he went to go in like the cold
Kept his ass on
facility,
ice.
yeah, that's why when he went to the cold facility, like it was like the room that Akira was in was like kind of like melted.
Yeah, so like so they're running these like but we're not really privy to like why they were experimenting on these kids.
Well, I mean,
We
it's probably they're probably I mean probably kind of like uh, what they were kind of what our own government was trying to do, with like MK Ultra or remote viewing or whatever. They're probably trying to create like human weapons.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That was kind of like my thought, but I wasn't sure if that's quite that simple. Um, so, but like these we're just never really sure exactly what's going on with them. Like we get like some hints, but the other thing I found interesting about this movie is like there's no real there's some bad characters kind of, but like no character in this movie is actually really there's no pure character in this film. Everyone has giant flaws, which is good. I mean that's realistic. No one is like extremely pure and like they're the good guy. This is not a movie where like this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. We have protagonists and antagonists, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like Tetsuo is not. Yeah, he's the quote unquote the bad guy, but he's not a bad guy. He just has a lot. He's mixed up and he's been messed with. Um,
What? I want you to say that one more time.
We don't have this is a movie that has good guys and bad guys. This is a movie. We have antagonists and protagonists. Tetsuo is not. He's not like the good guy, but he's not like a bad guy either. He has.
Yeah, it's the Wreck-It Ralph perspective. It's like just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you are a bad guy.
Yeah, you're right. This is the Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, it's a Wreck-It Ralph perspective. No, like because like the of course the politicians are the saving your ass kind of double crossing politicians, especially that one politician who was like playing both sides of the conflict. He was establishment, but he was also like funding the rebels or whatever.
Oh, like our government.
What was it?
Like our government.
Yeah, like our government, like every government in the history of the world.
The only one that the only guy that I kind of felt for, when it came to like that group, was the general who we learn a lot about. He's the one that's he's protecting the espers, and he's trying to protect from the dangers of like Akira and like people that have these runaway powers, because he's trying to prevent another cataclysmic explosion like we saw in '88.
I liked more the doctor,
the mad scientist of the group.
Yeah, the scientist, the head scientist, because he was more or less of right there with the general, but yet he was also right there saying, look, this is what we got to do in order to protect the city. He can't do this or this is going to happen. And then when Tetsuya was having his issues, he wasn't, he was the first one to jump up and say, okay, well, maybe the medicine that we're giving him is the issue. I don't know if either one of y'all noticed that or not about him, but that was the first thing.
I consider him more like Frankenstein, in a lot of ways. Like,
he was just more obsessed with the knowledge, like all the information that he was getting, and so like just discovery. Like, I didn't necessarily think that he was like, again, I don't think he was a bad guy. He was just more interested in the knowledge.
Yeah.
And the thing that like why I bring the Frankenstein like application comparison up is like he's he's going after all this knowledge and like doing things that he probably shouldn't be doing and like be messing with. Mm-hmm. And you look at like the espers, those are his like experiments, and look at like their wrinkled like greenish blue face, similar to Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of like, and you might be right. I probably missed that, like where he's like maybe we're giving him like the wrong medicine. Like, maybe we're treating Tetsuo in the wrong way because he is older. Because the experiments that
Right.
were being run on the espers initially with like Akira and then those three, they were little kids. Where and so they were able to, in a way, control them in a certain way that Tetsuo can't be controlled because he is in a way damaged goods already. He's got that chip on his shoulder, and he hates like always being protected and coddled. He doesn't want to, and that's not what he wants. Like, they maybe it's the phrasing or whatever, but like any time that like there's any reference like, hey, like, I'm here to rescue you, or I'm here to help you, or to protect you, he gets enraged.
Yep.
Um,
Case in point, whenever he was, beating up the guy for ripping old girl's shirt off.
Yeah, and he couldn't protect her at the time, and it enraged him. So there's that aspect to that. Oh shoot, there was like one other thing I had to say about that, and I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm trying to think of like what else like I wanted to talk about there, and I'm drawing a blank. Happens. No, the other thing that I felt like was not this movie like the one thing that this movie does though, it moves at a very unrelenting pace because once again, this is based off of a very like long running manga. It's I think it's like what, like it's almost like 10 volumes. I think it's over 10 volumes. It's really long.
Yeah, it's huge.
And so you're trying to condense all of that into like this 2-hour movie. So it's constantly moving, and they kind of have to keep that going. So you have like all the experimentations. The other thing I'm interested to like, why did they keep all of like Akira's like essentially his brain particles? Like, is that what was all? Because I know they had like
it was all his parts. It was like probably like I think his nervous system, probably slides of his brain. A lot of different tissue samples.
And are those like remnants from like after the explosion? Like that's what they were able to find?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And they keep him in like a extremely cold like laboratory.
Well,
yeah,
you
like,
got to
yeah, in a cold storage. But it seems like it didn't work because he was still able to somewhat communicate, with Tetsuo and like the other espers, and like even like maybe and even some of people who weren't necessarily like or who didn't necessarily have esper abilities, like that priest who kind of who started that Akira cult, because how did he know about Akira?
Yeah.
Well, and I'm also wondering too, because we also have to think about, so yes, this is the future, but people probably heard the stories of Akira and like the explosion, and like I'm sure that there was definitely there had to be rumors of what was happening, and the that like religious cult, they're looking for their version of like the second coming. Like they want like Akira to return and destroy like all like the sin of the world, like that, because the world of Neo Tokyo is fucked up. It's not a good place to live, and so
Very corrupt, very
degenerated,
degenerated.
a clean slate, to burn away all the sin. And Akira, like that happened. I'm pretty sure like the initial version of Neo Tokyo was like a great place to live. It was very simple. It was free from like a lot of the corruption, and
Yeah, you couldn't even protest, man, or you got shot.
Yeah. But over time, like, you know, that corruption sets back in, and so they're looking for, like, you know, we want the resurrection of Akira to, like, you know, to wipe the slate clean, and, like, we'll start over.
Yeah, I think because Akira was so strong and so deadly and stuff. That's actually why Tetsuo, because of his psychic abilities and everything, was able to communicate with them and everything. But at the end, uh, like once everything was thawed and he was, Akira was, released, they actually combined.
Right. His manifestations, like, was like he was like able to somehow like change reality or something, and that's what like
Mhm.
that big like that white light thing was. It was like somehow like the his powers had gotten to such a scale where like he was able to somehow rewrite reality or something.
He was able to create, like, a new, like, almost like a new dimension or a new universe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The birth of a new universe.
Like it killed me because when I was watching it and everything, and they took the satellite and they shot down and they hit Tetsuo,
That was really cool.
That
and
was
I was
fucking
like, wow.
And
I was like, I was like, they're
and
gonna end the
actually,
movie like this.
yeah, and actually, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, I definitely borrowed a scene from this movie.
Oh yeah. But it was like when he flew up into outer space and he was all covered in red, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, this is like watching the Green Lantern, but red.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, there was that scene, when he's rampaging through the city and like the police, like in their tank, they shoot that shell at him, and then and, like he's able to protect himself with like his psychic power. And
Yep.
then there's that, when he takes like that red curtain or whatever and drapes it over him, kind of like Superman. He's almost an inverted version of Superman.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and the other thing I thought was really awesome with, like, that scene, like, after, like, you know, the soul satellite,
Mm-hmm.
destroys his arm and all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
he flies into space, and, like, he's starting to walk on that satellite.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the what I loved about it, it was silent. You didn't hear anything.
Yes. Yes.
That was awesome. Because it's almost like it's scarier that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, like you said, in space, no one can hear you scream, kind of thing. It had that element to it, and I like that they didn't have, like, the giant explosion sound. Like, you know that the thing was being destroyed and it was being exploded, but it's silent. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, because supposedly there is a vacuum up there. Can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
So you know how much Andy loves space. He's got a whole bunch of NASA t-shirts in his closet.
Yeah, although I'm much interested in NASA's earlier work.
And he's like, I'm making sure that's well known. The early work.
Earlier work.
The man walking on the moon in the
No,
basement.
not even before that. NASA's earlier work. With Werner von Braun.
Oh yeah, with all the Nazi scientists.
Yeah,
It's.
you know what I'm talking about.
Anyways, going. So yeah, we got that, like, great, awesome battle, and obviously, Tetsuo loses his arm, and it's like, oh, just form a new one, and, like, his powers, like, he forms, like, and I'm sure this is
Yeah,
borrowed from Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah, and then again, it has also kind of goes to that kind of cyberpunk or like body horror stuff, because like you lose an arm and then you immediately grab like you're kind of losing your humanity, because like you're losing you lose a part of your arm, and then you put this artificial, you create yourself like this artificial arm.
Well, and that's, like I said, that goes to Star Wars in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Star Wars, but then also it's still kind of in the vein of body horror.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like Darth Vader, he's essentially mainly a cyborg in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But like even like Luke Skywalker, he loses his arm, and like he kind of has another one made for him.
Yep.
And similar, like Tetsuo, he just makes another arm out of whatever materials that are there. Going back a little bit, there's another scene that like kind of confused me a little bit, like as far as like what was being attempted, and this is before like Tetsuo really kind of starts to like fully develop his powers. Um, the Espers start to try to mess with him while he's in the hospital room.
Right.
He
with the teddy
has
bears.
like the doctors have left like all these like little kid baby toys, like the stuffed animal, the stuffed teddy bear, and like all these like little like toys, and Tetsuo has thrown them away.
That was because they weren't trying to mess with him. They were actually trying to.
Trying to kill him.
I think they were trying to kill him.
Oh, the kids?
How were they? How were they going to kill him?
Because they knew that he was a powerful psychic, so they were actually luring him down to actually kill him.
But no. But I'm just saying, like, how were they going to kill him?
With their minds.
Yeah.
Because like again, I think that was also kind of testing him to see like how powerful he was, to see if that they even could even attempt to kill him. Because like for the longest time it was only them three, and then all of a sudden like this kid comes along and it's like, and then like they see they I don't know, kind of like the Force, like they could sense him and like see, and they could see like how powerful he is, but it's like they're just trying to get a sense of like how powerful he really was.
Oh, so Tetsuo was essentially Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. But the
like,
thing
you were the chosen one.
Yeah. To go back to Star Wars for but no, because the way that I felt like they attacked him, it's like it's stuff that would scare, like, because there's even though like they're old, they're still little kids. They're still like 10 years old.
Well, yeah, maybe developmentally, they might be in like their like late 30s, early 40s, but developmentally, yes, they were children.
If it's more scarier to hear about how a kid will hurt somebody than it is from an adult.
Yeah, well,
a little, yeah.
The thing is, but the thing about the tactics that the Espers use, they use like the manifestation of like the teddy bear, like the giant teddy bear, and like the rabbit in the car, and like all like the weird shit that they were doing with those. And while that's freaky as hell, it's kind of like, what? It's like, and as soon as like he stepped on that glass and like broke it and like got all the blood on his foot, and like they were scared of the blood. It's like, oh, you guys are weak. You're like little kids.
Yep.
And that's when like he kind of like,
that's when he turned the tables and he went on the attack.
Yeah, he snapped. That's like when he went real. That's when he went evil.
Right.
And it makes me think, like, had the Espers not done that to begin with, I think he wouldn't have gone on that rampage.
Nah, I still think he would have, because what was it? They had always talked about Akira and everything, how how he was okay, and then all of a sudden it was just his power started manifesting more and more and more.
Yeah, he just got out of control.
That power, it consumed him, because then he started thinking that he was God, and then now you have Tatsuya doing the same thing. So, it's like Uncle Ben says, man, with great power comes responsibility.
I will say that scene, like after like he breaks out of his hospital room and like they put it. The doctor puts his hands on him, like try to get him back into his room. He just like does the swipe, and like they just
Explode.
fucking
Yeah.
explode.
Man, I
It's
had goosebumps from
gross.
that, dude.
It's gross.
Yeah. And again, it's just like that thing where it's like, man, I didn't know cartoons could do that, but also like depict that kind of because like imagine like someone try to do that in like a live action movie and like with practical effects and stuff. Like, how does the one would I'm sure someone would be able to figure it out, but it's like
Tom Savini can figure it out.
yeah. Interestingly enough, I haven't seen the entire series. I've only seen clips, but that kind of stuff reminded me of that cartoon that recently came out, Invincible, about the superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just like like when Omni Man and his son Mark like started fighting, and they're like run like they're just like they running through people and like exploding them. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that.
But let's get to the obviously like Tetsuo like ends up after that whole scene like he ends up like going to attack the Espers in the baby they call it the baby room.
Mm-hmm.
It gets into kind of like this mind battle with them and just fucks them up.
Mm-hmm.
It just messes everything up. He finds the he learns of the location of Akira and teleports and flies out of there. He's been hit. Akira has been hidden below the Tokyo Olympic field that's being built over it, and that's really when all hell breaks loose. It's like he's getting more unhinged, getting like angrier and angrier, and just like playing with people like their toys, and like but he's still like he's in control of his powers, but like over the more evil he gets, like the more he's losing control of that power. Obviously, he gets in that battle with Kaneda, and he loses his arm after like getting shot by the satellite gun, and he creates that new arm, but he's still like he ends up like hiding in the Olympic after he reveals like that Akira is not. We just see like the canisters of like Akira's remains, and he's just like, what the hell is this? This is not. This is nothing. It's a joke. And but he steals all the canisters, goes into the Olympic field, and is like near like whatever that the Olympic throne that's like that they had set up, and he's crying. He's kind of like in a lot of like anguish and pain, and that's where like Kaori, there's the generals coming there, but like Kaori shows up and is like, "Are you okay?" He walks out, and we see like his mechanical hand that he created, and he sits on that throne, and that's like you start to see like the
It takes
whatever
life.
weird tentacles that are growing, and that crushes like the rock, and like it's so weird. It's just it's weird, and that's when like he's the more like the more he's like talking with like Kaori and like the general and all that stuff. It's like he's losing control of everything. He can't, and come to find out like he over the course of like actions with like Kaneda comes in. It's like he loses control of the power, and the power consumes him, and that's when like we get this like weird like giant like flesh baby that pops up, and it's like he even like shouts like to like Kaneda and everybody, help me, I can't control it anymore, and it's trying to like suck up like all the people that are around him, because in his mind he's saying like, I need people to help me. He needs Kaori, he needs Kaneda, and like his body is controlling itself, and it's like, oh, we need these people, and like so it sucks them in.
Well,
And
it's like at the end too, like right there where you're talking about him, losing control and you know sucking up Canada and the other girl, and he actually, the general actually sits there and goes, "Hey, let me help you. Let's take this medicine." And so all of a sudden
Yeah, let's take
arm
some
comes.
shots and calm the fuck down.
Yeah, man.
I
And
honestly don't think the general was trying to do anything evil. I actually do think he was trying to help.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It-
Yeah. I mean, out of all the
I-
government officials, I think the general, the colonel, I think he was actually like doing he was doing what was like he was trying his best to like keep things
keep the
contained.
situation contained.
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
mis-
Yeah.
made mistakes, but he's not an evil guy. Like he's actually
Right.
trying his best, because he doesn't want to have another Akira disaster. He's trying to prevent that at all costs. But
Right.
I think he does have a genuine care for the Espers, and he does care about Tetsuo, who has developed these powers. Like he wants to protect him too.
Mhm.
Now the weird part is actually he had more of a care for the espers than he did anybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, when he went to go see, what was it, that girl, the 26, like, there was, like, a very, like, there was a very, he was very tender towards her.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And I think he cared about the other two ones as well. I mean, he went to in a lot of we initially see the general come and it's like, oh, he's the evil army guy that's coming to take back this this Esper that's trying to escape. But that's, to me, I don't think that's what was happening. I think the Esper was kidnapped by the terrorist group, K's
Mhm.
the terrorist group,
yeah,
and the general was rescuing him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, like, in the beginning, we think that, he's being rescued, but, like, but then also, he is not as though he was, putting up much of a fight. Um,
Right.
although, that just might be due to the conditioning of him, like, always being around, like, his surroundings. And so like, and even though he is like that, I think his name was Takashi. Uh, Even though he was a powerful, Esper, like I'm sure like anytime, I think he just got kind of dazzled by the outside world.
Yeah.
So
He
I
wasn't
wonder.
used to it and he was
That,
scared, so that's why he was using his powers at the beginning.
mm,
that's the thing that that's what I would love. That's one thing I would love to find out. Why did the terrorist group kidnap Takashi to begin with? What was their plan?
I think it was to prove to the outside world that, Akira did exist. Because you got to think,
mm.
yeah, because
Yeah,
you got to
or like
think
it was like yeah. What I thought it would be like they're trying to expose the government been doing like these experiments,
experiments and everything. And
but
I think
also like maybe because like that other politician, like the other council member, I think because he was playing both sides, like maybe he was trying to sell the research to like maybe
Mhm.
another country.
Here, okay, this is just something that came off the top of my head because we know that the one government official was in cahoots with the terrorist organization.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously told them about he probably knew about what was going on with the Akira research group,
Mm-hmm.
because he probably had some insight on that.
Mm-hmm.
He probably gave them a lot, that terrorist group, some hey, there's this stuff that's going on. We have this thing that's going on underneath the construction of the Olympic stadium, and the general, he's doing, he's with this doctor doing these experiments, at this facility. You need and we want to have the because he was talking about uh, we find out about the resurrection of Akira. He's looking. He himself is looking forward to that. As and he's probably, hey, you need to kidnap one of these espers and to like kind of like this is gonna help in a way to bring kind of awareness of Akira and to bring him back.
Right.
That's probably what was happening. That was probably the plan behind Takashi's kidnapping.
It seems reasonable.
And maybe it was a happy accident that like he encountered like Tatsuo, but I think like maybe he knew that like interaction with the Espers and some if there was anybody like in the city that was sensitive, Esper sensitive, like kind of like, or force sensitive, if you will, that interaction with them would kind of like bring that out in them, because obviously Kay is the we know has developed sensitivity.
She has latent abilities.
Yeah, same thing with Tatsuo, because Kaneda like is interacting with them, but he doesn't develop powers.
No.
So that's a possibility. That it's like that's just something I thought of right now that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's, to be honest, that's the great thing about this film is like not just ambiguous because the creator didn't know what he wanted to do. It's ambiguous because he's wanting us to kind of like figure things out on our own. It's not just like it's not like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing, so you figure it out. But he has given us enough to work with that like we can but he doesn't give us all the answers, so we are left with what he's given us to kind of find out these answers on our own.
Yeah. He's being a George Lucas, not a Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh Lord.
I don't know if do you guys have anything else to say about Akira? I know the ending is a little bit like kind of, like I said, it's left open to a lot of interpretation. Like Tetsuo, is he dead? Is he not dead? Did Akira save him or destroy him? It's are we gonna have another? What's the end game with these espers? Like, are they gonna like end up becoming like this like next evolution? It's just not the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable because they were saying how like, K is the key because like she has latent abilities, but like they haven't manifested yet, and it seems like she has better control than say like Tetsuo, like who's kind of like kind of like the broken dam, and like just the ESP powers just like kind of flooded him. Whereas Kay is like, even though she was exposed and she has latent abilities, like she seems to have like more control. So like
Control.
So maybe in a few hundred generations, like her descendants will have a better control of their powers. Because like there was like that whole speech that number 26, the girl, gave through K, was that all the knowledge of the universe is like within ourselves, and we just have to go and find it.
Yep.
And but it's just we have to we just have to be careful on how we get to it.
Yeah, definitely. Any other final thoughts on Akira before we give our ratings?
Damn good show. Damn good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I really, really like this film a lot.
Although, one thing, like the priest that was like on the street, proselytizing. He said a lot of stuff that could be applied to today. God, what did he say?
how like Akira is gonna be like this like cleansing fire and like all this stuff, and like people need to repent of their sins, and of course we're selling like the brochures for 500 yen a piece.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny because like even though it seems like he's like that priest guy is kind of like a kook, but he could have easily just been like a grifter. Like I think that could be said to a lot of like political movements that have happened in the last few years.
Here's why I think he was a grifter, because as soon as like someone who is like waiting for the cleansing fire of Akira, when he they thought like Tetsuo was like that coming. And then as soon as like they were getting ready to be killed, he's like, "Save me!" It's like, so clearly he realized that like it's
but
I don't want to die,
right, but yeah, but like that kind of move, that type of grifting, yeah, it's like it's prevalent all in today's society. I mean, most prominently being BLM. Because they're like, oh yeah, help us, fight, the racism and empower Black voices or whatever. Give us money and we'll do this. But it's like, what notable thing have they done with that money? It's like
they bought giant mansions in like wealthy communities.
Right. Yeah. Like the founder like bought herself like 3 like multi-million-dollar properties. The so-called like one BLM chapter in Canada bought like this really nice property, which they say that they're going to turn into like some sort of like art space, or for a place for people to go and make art or whatever. But it's like, how about you fund a fucking community park, or how about you start a fund to pay all the black business owners whose businesses you burned down, you fucking cunts.
I shit golden eggs.
But yeah, it's just like like that priest was saying like, oh yeah, Lord Akira is coming. Find out how you're gonna better your life. For 500 yen.
Yeah.
So, take a pamphlet. For 300 yen, you can find out the secrets of the universe. Like, oh jeez.
They're the Scientologists of the Akira universe.
Exactly.
I like that one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's give our ratings and we'll wrap it up.
Why don't I give Dave the first crack at it?
All right, Dave, since you are the guest, why don't you give us your rating? Out of 5.
I'll give 5 spooges.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I was thinking like I was between a 4 and a 5, but like the more we've talked about it and like the more I've thought about it, like this really is a 5-star movie. I mean the animation is out of this world. It's 30 years old and it's still better than some of the stuff that's coming out today. It's really freaking good. The story is really fascinating, and the movie gives you just enough to work with, but it leaves a lot of questions at the same time. What's the motivation behind some of the characters? We don't know. What's the story? Why did these experiments start? We can speculate, but we don't really know. What's and so like there's like a lot of these like it gives you enough where it's not just like ambiguous for the sake of like they didn't know what they were doing, but it's more of like you figure it out and you come up with your theories and questions, and you might be right, you might be wrong, and that's where like repeated viewings, this makes you go back and like I need to watch this movie again to figure like, hey, maybe I missed something. Let's go back. Let's watch it again. And before you know it, you've watched this movie 10 times, and you maybe learned a bunch of new things, and maybe you've had a bunch of more new questions, and that's what makes it fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess it's It's almost a full house, but yeah, I'm gonna give it this 5 as well. Um, again, technically, this movie was just gorgeous. Like, the animation still holds up. And in a lot of way, exceeds, even stuff that's still coming out, that's coming out today. The story, yeah, again, as Robert said, I think the director, gives you just enough where, like, you could still, like, you could keep following along, and you could, like, make your own interpretations, but he still, like, kind of, leave some things obscure. And again, not because for the sake of skill, Ryan Johnson, excuse me, but I
Jesus.
think because he's like, he's doing, he's in a lot of way, the director is, very much like the drug dealer. Like, the first taste is free, but the second taste is going to cost you. And that's, and that cost is dedicating some time to the manga, and to see, like, and to see, like, where these, characters actually go, or the manga gives more space for the characters to be fleshed out, and, like, for the world to be built, because um, I do wish that that Akira would have become a series, an anime series, because I think it would, I think it would do very well.
It would. It would
And
do it damn well good.
Yeah, and I would like to maybe see more of, like, the visual style that was present in the movie. But I know, like, animation is not cheap. So, like, even if uh, we got an anime and it was like 75% of what the movie was, it still would have been worth it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, great movie. We started hard this month with a great one.
Hmm. All right, folks, there you have it. That's our review for Akira. Full boat here, fives all around. Definitely worth a watch. Highly recommended. Do yourself a favor and watch this anime movie. You will not be disappointed. Although, if you are not into the whole body horror kind of stuff, there are some moments you might want to cover your eyes, but
Pretty much like the last like 30
yeah,
minutes.
the last third of the movie is, you might.
Don't worry about covering your eyes. Just watch it. You'll love it. You'll fall in love with it.
I know, yeah, man up, pussies.
That's right.
All right, yeah, that'll bring us to the end of our stream tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time. Dave, did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, man. Always
Always,
enjoy coming on with you guys.
always, and we always love having you. Don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circular Jerks main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. And Dave, you have a YouTube channel, right? Or you have a Twitch channel?
I have both. They're on maintenance right now, so
Okay. Well, I do believe I had a link, a previous episode you're on. So when this episode archives, I will go back and put in the links for Dave's Twitch and YouTube channel.
I'd appreciate it.
Of course. Don't forget to check out our social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us. Come back next week, and we'll do it all over again.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Have a good night.
Be well.